Alright guys, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Switched On Streams podcast with us, the Switched On squad, myself, Brennan Hoof, and joined as always is Pomster. I think that's right. English there, probably not my first language. And this is the second time that we've done the opening because I stuffed up the first one. We've got a lot to get through this week, so we're just going to jump straight into it. This morning we had, obviously, Nintendo Direct and a State of Play from PlayStation. So, it started off... Did you see the opening of the State of Play? It was a very...
No, I missed the opening.
It was very strange. They started with a game called Baby Steps. And I couldn't quite tell if it was supposed to be a VR game or not. But, yeah... It sort of starts and he's face down in the dirt and he stands up, and it's an indie game. It's a walking sim. Looks very, very odd, especially sort of like you're obviously using different buttons to control each leg and get him to walk and step on certain things and try and find a pathway through all this sort of stuff. But then he comes across people and there's a bit of swearing and the dialogues between them's quite good and quite funny. So if it's a game that goes on to the PlayStation Plus, I'll definitely give it a go. I don't think it'll be one that I'll quite be looking at and buying myself, but could be an interesting game. Could be a very interesting game. A couple of points that we wanted to talk about, big points out of it. Helldivers 2, we got another look at that. That looks like it could be a very good game, especially for the team streams that we do with Blowy, Princess, if he ever gets to PlayStation 5, which with the baby on.
You played a fair bit of the first one, didn't you?
I played a little bit. I didn't play a huge amount. We had a lot of other games that we were doing at the time, and it's one of those games that, much like sort of Payday and a few others, that I feel you really need the team and a group of players to play with. And it looks really good, and the dynamic of, you know, trying to work out what you need, who you need, certain guns like rocket launchers, you might have the ammo for it that you carry, but I've got the gun, so you've got to come and reload it while I'm aiming and firing.
Yeah, okay.
And like the bombs and everything like that you throw and grenades can kill your teammates, so you got to be kind of careful there. One person has like a medic type thing and can revive people, and get new divers sent in. So look, I'll definitely be looking at that, and obviously if you boys have a look as well, and we think it's a game that will be interesting for us, we'll definitely get some streams going of that. Comes out at a good time when a lot of games have sort of already come out and we might not have a huge amount to play, so that's coming out February 8th of next year. So unless we're still heavily into Payday, which no doubt we will be, and obviously FC24, but we might be able to throw in a third one to mix it up.
Yeah.
The next game that I wanted to talk about, Resident Evil 4 DLC coming. It's called Separate Ways. It's out next week, I believe. Let me just check the dates. Yep, next Thursday.
Now, it's incredible, like, that they've dropped this on us. Maybe you were aware, but I didn't even hear any rumors.
I hadn't heard anything either.
The DLC.
I've been a little bit disconnected the last couple of weeks with doing a bit more stuff around the mini farm that we have here. But yeah, look, this looked absolutely fantastic. You're getting to play as Ada Wong and see what happens sort of behind the scenes, which I'm trying to remember rightly. In the original game, did we get those as like cutscenes?
Yeah, maybe. That,
I'm trying to
that's
remember
testing.
because you were young, right? Because I think
Yeah,
I rented it when we were in Perth, and we like
yeah,
smashed through the game in like 4 days.
yeah, exactly. And I just sat and watched basically.
Yeah.
Would have been probably too hard for me at the time.
Yeah, well, you would have only been what 8 or 9.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
yeah, look, it looks absolutely fantastic. The fact that it's out next week has me pretty excited. I haven't had chance yet to look at a price point for it. Literally got up, watched this state of play, watched the Nintendo Direct, made notes for this podcast, and then it's literally as I was finishing the Nintendo Direct, you've sent me a message going, "You right to record?" I'm like, "Yep," because we are recording a little bit earlier than normal. Now, the big one. We got a bit more of an in-depth look at Spider-Man 2, which obviously we are only a month away from getting. I assume you saw this part?
The city looks massive, doesn't it?
It looks absolutely huge. And the fact that they've added, was it Queens and Brooklyn? So they've doubled the size of the map
Yeah.
by adding these two boroughs.
And it's not like the map in the first game is small.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty big. Like, I think in the first playthrough I had, I didn't use the fast travel once.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, because
had
it's just so fun to swing around.
I had so much fun in it. But it would take like a good 5-10 minutes to get from one side of the map to the other, and that was like trying to get, as quick as you can. They have sped up or added a speedier way of swinging through this time from what they've said, and that includes using the wingsuits, so you can sort of gain speed using that and then drop into your web slinging, and that will get you a bit of a speed boost. There is mission specific stuff for each character, so you might get a request for either of the Spider-Men to turn up, or you might get a specific one for Miles or a specific one for Peter, and in that case you'll have to switch between characters. They have said that this is pretty much seamless with the SSD and the fact that it just loads straight over to it. And the same thing happens with the fast travel. And they showed this on the video, and you click on the part of the map that you want to fast travel to, and literally as you press it, it jumps into whichever Spider-Man that you've got, jump flying down in the wingsuit and bang straight into the web slinging. Which,
Yeah, it's incredible. Insomniac have got some kind of special sauce going with the SSD in the place. I'm not quite sure how they manage it, because, as far as I understand, with the recent Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart port onto PC, although it runs quite well, it's not quite as fast in those kind of transition moments
yeah,
as it is PS5, even if you've got an SSD of a like similar quality, like PCIe 4 or PCIe 5 in your PC, it's still not quite as smooth. So I'm not sure what they've got going on there, but definitely some kind of first party stuff now that they're under PlayStation Studios.
definitely. And that might also be intentional. That although you're getting a very similar experience on PC, if you want the true experience, go buy a PlayStation. Sort of
Spend a lot less money.
yeah. They've got the AR upgraded suits in this one, so the lenses in the suits can bring up points across the map when you hold. I'm assuming holding in L2 or R2 or something like that. So you don't have to keep going into the map and all that sort of stuff. There is also real-time visual cues in the world, which looked pretty amazing. So we'll get some robots or something like that flying through that might lead us to points that we need to get to for missions or side quests and stuff like that. So far, it's looking fantastic. They did mention there are some enemies that are going to be in the game of the Spider-Man that they haven't yet announced. I assumably, much like the last one, that will just be side missions. They'll play minor roles within the game.
I think so.
Obviously, the big ones have been announced with Lizard, Venom. Although I'm still unsure on the Venom thing, whether it's going to be a bad guy, good guy situation. I think it's going to be a bit of a mix. And obviously Kraven the Hunter. There is going to be 65 suits in this one. That is an enormous amount. Obviously that's going to be split between the two characters. But by the looks of it, each suit has a number of styles. They said there's going to be up to 250 different styles that you can do on these suits. They did show Peter's classic suit that you can, change the colour scheme of between about 4 or 5 different variants. So there's going to be a lot more of that kind of personalisation, if you will, within your Spider-Man. One that I am looking forward to, and luckily it's part of the the collector's edition DLC that you get. Each one has 5 suits for each character. There's one for Miles. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it kind of looks like a Power Rangers suit, and I think that looks absolutely fantastic. And that's probably going to be my go-to for Miles for most of my play on that. Do you have any more thoughts on Spider-Man?
With them, have you kind of seen any mention of how you'll go about earning all of the different suits and their variants? Like, if you unlock a suit, do you get all of its variants to choose from, or do you have to unlock them?
It didn't mention that. The suits, I'm assuming, would be very specific to leveling up and side quests and all that sort of stuff, much like the last one. I'm pretty sure they did sort of mention something along those lines in the video. I might have been writing something down at the time. I did hear them say something about how to unlock them, and I think it's just game progress, like most of them. Certain challenges, things like that, obviously to get the better ones. But outside of that,
you don't want it to be a similar situation to Arkham Knight, where there are heaps of suits that you can unlock and different skins for the Batmobile, but you've got to pay like $4 or $5 for each of them.
Yeah, I think I obviously the DLC ones will eventually get released for like an extra $5, $10, $20, something like that. You'll get like an upgrade thing. But yeah, outside of that, I don't know any more than anybody else really. Than the ones that they've announced are going to be in the game, and those ones for the collector's edition. So, but that's all I know. So what else do we have announced? On the 10th of October, we are getting Roblox. That was announced over the last week on PlayStation. Obviously, it's now been put in their state of play. A couple of games for PSVR 2, which included Resident Evil 4, which will be coming sometime over the holiday season. And one that I actually really like the look of, and if we had the PSVR 2, each of us, and was streaming that side of things, I think this could be fantastic. And that's Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord.
Yeah, right.
Being able to play Ghostbusters in VR, I mean, I'm sure if you listen and see the stuff from Kind of Funny Games, Greg Miller is going to be absolutely chomping a bit to get this game. He's a massive Ghostbusters fan, but I think it just looks fantastic. there's a few Ghostbusters games that I thought we should be playing. I can't remember the exact name of it. The last one that they released that was kind of a 4-on-1 situation, I thought looked quite good. I understand.
Yeah, I think that was on PS4, wasn't it? I can't remember the name.
Yeah, it might have been the end of the PS4, start of the PS5.
Yeah.
This one, though, it actually kind of looks like Payday in VR. But with, like, Ghostbuster style, like, you're going in, trying to catch as many ghosts, sort of got them coming at you in waves, much like you do with the cops in that game. And then you sort of get to the end mission, and you can take on the big boss. And then you can go and upgrade your weapons and all that sort of stuff. So, I think it looks fantastic. A lot of VR players will probably get onto this. I'm tempted to go buy one just for it, but you never know.
There's some good stuff now on PSVR too, I think.
Yeah. I've just realised there's something we need to talk about after we get through the state of play stuff. State of play stuff, yeah. That I'm trying to that one, which may affect some of these games, but we'll get to that in a sec. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. This game looks good for the fans of that franchise. It's just not for me. I cannot get into Avatar.
Me neither. I've never been a fan of Avatar, but I guess you would argue that there is mainstream appeal for that game because the
definitely.
movie is so you'd figure that it probably will do all right for what it is.
Yeah, and look, the game does look well done, and it does look like it could be a lot of fun. But if I don't buy into the franchise, I can't buy into the game. So that's my way of looking at it. And look, soon enough we'll get some reviews for it, and it might be an absolutely fantastic game. And if it's a 10 out of 10 across the board, which I highly doubt, I might have a look at it, but I don't think I'd pay.
I mean, it's hard enough with movie tie-in games. Like, even if it's a franchise that you love, if the game's not great, you're going to find it hard to sit through and play. So if it's a franchise that you don't feel anything for, you're going to struggle.
Ghost Runner 2 got a showing next. That is coming, I don't actually know, sometime next year. But there is a demo out for it later today, which could be interesting. I didn't play the first one. Isn't it made by Bethesda? Isn't it one of Bethesda? Sure. I thought Ghost Runner was one of Bethesda's games, so maybe there was still a contract there. Because they were PlayStation timed exclusives.
Yeah, right. No, it's not made by Bethesda.
It's not?
No. It's published by 505, made by Slipgate.
Are they not under... For some reason, I thought they were under the ZeniMax.
No, parent company Sabe Interactive.
Oh, well, then I'm a complete idiot. I must be confusing it with something else. What else did we get? Tales of Arise. Beyond the Dawn. That's coming November 9th. Star Rail, which is part of the Hoyoverse, which we did see a little bit of at Gamescom. That's
that'll be the third Star Rail game, I think. Oh no, sorry, the second. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Rail.
I'm not. What's the word I'm looking for? Very knowledgeable about the Hoyoverse. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you played a lot of Genshin Impact from memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So they have another franchise called Honkai, and the first Honkai game was Impact, and the second one was Star Rail.
yeah.
So I think that there is already a Star Rail game. So this one, yeah, I'm not sure if it's like a DLC or if it's like another, if it's like
I
Star Rail 2.
think from memory of Gamescom, it's the Star Rail game coming to PlayStation.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, right.
From memory.
But that will make sense.
Yeah.
Genshin Impact is on PlayStation. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we've got to talk about Final Fantasy Rebirth. Got a bit of an in-depth
yes.
look.
Yes.
I think this game looks unreal.
And a release date of February
29th. February 29th. And it's going to be on 2 discs. 2 discs on PS5 is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Although in saying that, Cyberpunk was 2 discs on PS4. There was an install disc and then a play disc, so I would assume maybe it's the same situation.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe though that they would be maxing out a Blu-ray, unless because I think Blu-ray can go up to like 8 layers or something crazy like that. Be pretty massive. So I don't know. I don't know why it needs 2 discs for the next gen consoles, but
then if the rumours that we're hearing about GTA 6 are true, then it could be something similar there. Because what was the rumour that we heard the other day? It was 750 gig?
Something like that, yeah.
For an install? Oh, that's pretty much the whole PS5 hard drive.
Well, it's more than.
Yeah. Like, that's...
So I'm not quite sure how that would work.
There's been a couple of rumours that I've heard about that. So there's that, the fact that it's going to be over 400 hours of gameplay, like between side missions and story missions and all that, and that they're going to charge 200 to 250 for the base game.
Wow.
And that was purely based on the money that they've spent on the game. Again, these are just rumours. We don't know what's going to happen. I can't see them doing that. I think there's actually... Isn't there a price point in America where they could... Like, the reason why games are the price that they are over there is because of, like, a consumer law.
Quite possibly.
And, you know...
I imagine there probably is in the EU as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. And that... Like, when they went to this generation of games, or consoles and games, that there was a big sort of push for them to try and up that price point, and they eventually sort of allowed it. And then I think 2K were the first ones to actually take advantage of it. With whichever 2K came out that year. Would have been 21, maybe? We'll get...
Still find it hard to understand how it would be that big.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Unless they are just, you know, like going way over the top with like all of their textures. But it's really not necessary. When you see that, say, for example, a game like Witcher 3 can be, you know, like on PS5, and I think it's about 55 gig on PS5, and that has a gigantic map with really high resolution textures and really long.
Would it be to do with bits and pieces like the living city and the fact that, you know, everything's moving around? It's got real life, from what we've heard, it's got real life weather systems, all of that sort of stuff. So there's probably a lot of, I hate to say it, but probably a lot of AI sort of tech in there that keeps this game sort of living even when you're not in the game.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. There's something, once we know more, it's something we'll talk about. But yeah, back to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm really looking forward to this. They are doing a joint package with what was the sort of standalone-ish DLC one that they released last year or earlier this year.
Intergrade?
Yeah, Intergrade. Yeah, that's the one. So there is a double pack of Intergrade.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Which I think could be. Well, I'm going to be going and getting it. That's for sure. Because I had so much fun with the remake, which surprised me because of how much I hated the original. And yeah, I think the reason I hated the original so much is because I played 8 first, and 8 was very realistic in its graphical sense for its time, and going back to 7, it still looked and felt like the earlier Final Fantasy games. So, but I had a lot of fun with this, and I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, the remake was great.
There is one more game, and I just don't know what the hell to make of it. We've seen it a lot over the last probably nearly a year, and that's Foam Stars. This Battle Royal Star game, Battle Royal Star. English today, please. Battle Royal type of game using foam guns. What the actual hell? And
yeah, we mentioned that before, didn't we?
And the worst thing is, right, you'd think a game like this will come out and, you know, I mean, it's probably going to evolve, but at this point, if you want to try and make something that's going to compete with Warzone and what's Fall Guys and what's the one that you hate? I'm having a mental blank.
One that I hate.
It's like the most popular game in the freaking world.
Fortnite.
Yeah, that's the one. I told you I'm having a bad day. We're recording this way too early for me. Yeah, so if you want to compete with those games, you've kind of got to get something in there for everybody, I feel, from the start. They've got eight characters and only 2 game modes coming out at launch. One way you're trying to take each other out in a 4v4, and the other one where you're trying to take over the map. To me, that people are going to play this, but I think the player retention is going to drop off a lot.
Absolutely. Like, you played Overwatch from release, didn't you?
Yep.
What was that experience like when it very first came out?
Well, that had 5, 6, 7 maps on the original.
Yeah.
And they were. That was just ranked and unranked to start with, and then I think within 3 months we then got like an arcade mode, and they were adding all these other bits. But then every couple of weeks you were getting different modes that would be there for like a week or so, and events and stuff like that. So they were doing a lot.
They were definitely more than.
Yeah, they were doing a lot right off the bat. right off the bat. And yeah, the amount of characters that they had at the time was, I don't even know what they're up to now. They've just added another 2 or something like that. But there was maybe 16, 17 characters from launch. And then over the first year, they added another 5. And they're still adding characters now, even though, you know, their player retention since they went to Overwatch 2 has dropped right away.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the story this week about Unity?
No.
So, the company that make the Unity engine have made an announcement that they are going to start charging developers and publishers for every time a game that uses their engine is installed. Which is madness. There has been a lot of backlash over this. They have backtracked on some of it already. I don't know where the story's at as of this morning. But they were asked the questions by developers. Well, what about the games that go into things like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus? And they had to go away, rethink about it, and go, well, we're not going to charge you for those. We'll put them on Sony and Microsoft and charge them. And now developers are running around and going, well, we can't do this. Like, you're cutting into our budgets. So, the developer or the guys over here in Australia, the developer of Cult of Lamb, have said, if you want to play this game, go and buy it now. Because come January 1st, when this goes in, they're deleting their game off stores. And
Yeah,
it seems like a lot of developers are following suit. And yeah.
A lot of these open source pieces of software, they do have a kind of payment model. So I'm like 90% sure Unreal Engine works in this way, for example. That it is free for you to download and use and develop in, but then if you sell the game, you have to give them a certain percentage of the sales. But you know that going into it.
Yeah.
And if you never release the game for launch, you don't have to pay them a cent. I think doing this kind of retroactive thing where it's like all these games that have already been released are going to be like this is just a bit unfair. Probably at some point, if they decide that they need to be making more money from Unity Engine, that they might have to have some kind of a payment scheme like this. But I think, yeah, the way that they're going about it, it does sound really unfair to developers who have developed games with the understanding that their engine, that, you know, it's completely free and open source to use.
Yeah. I'm just looking this up now to find out what the actual ins and outs are of it. Yeah, so it's I thought they had a like licensing thing where, you know, once you, much like Unreal, that once you got to publishing a game, that then there was a payment made. But seems that that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Unity's always been completely free to use.
But I mean, there is a simple solution here. Don't charge the games that are already out. Don't charge the games that are already in development.
Mm-hmm.
And only charge the games that go into development after January 1st.
And I think the industry would have no problem with that, because you would say, oh, okay, we're going to start charging from this point onwards. You would know that if you're going to use our engine from that point onwards, that there's going to be some kind of payment involved. But as a result of that, because we'll have more income, we'll be able to put more into developing the engine further.
Yeah. And that's the simple way of doing it, I think. And I don't know if doing it per download, like it's, from memory, it was like 1% per download. But that means that if I buy the game and delete it off the PlayStation, then decide 2 years down the track I want to play it again, and keep doing that, they're getting charged every time I re-download that game.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right way. Like, you could either go with a sales model, or you could just have a scaling system where, you know, 1 to 1,000 sales, you pay this much. 1,000 to 10,000 sales, you pay this much. 10,000 to 100,000, you pay this much. And so on.
Yeah. There's so many better ways to do it, and I think with the backlash, they're going to have to definitely have a rethink, because it's crazy. All right, moving on to the Nintendo Direct. Now, not a huge amount of points we wanted to talk about out of this, but there is 2 things that I noticed that we'll get to once I've gone through some dates that we got. Prince of Persia, we've got January 18th. Mario versus Donkey Kong. I didn't know this was happening. February 16th. Actually looks quite good. Bit of a puzzle style with, you know, a bit of the original Donkey Kong and Mario in it. Horizon Chase 2 is out today. Spy Anya Operation Memories is coming next year. Mario RPG we already knew about, is coming November 17th. This one confused me. It's a remake, and they're calling it Another Code Recollection. And it's a combination of 2 games. One's Another Code R, which was never released in North America, which was the sequel to another game that they called something else, but then in this they were calling Another Code 2 Memories. So, confused me a bit, but that's coming January 19th. It's a puzzle-style story game. Actually looked quite good. Can't lie. I wouldn't be opposed to checking that out. What else did we get? We got... Oh, one for you. That's out today as well. I think I tagged you in the original reveal trailer of this. Trombone Champ.
Yeah.
Has 45 tracks on it. There's different ways that you can play it. So I might buy you a Switch so you can play that.
I how accurate it is.
It doesn't look very accurate at all. And it's actually... everything.
Guitar Hero is not accurate, really.
Everything sounded out of tune on it. It was...
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu returns October 6th. War Tales is out later today. Battle Crush, which is kind of a... What would you call it? Kind of a Mario... a Super Smash Brothers kind of style battle royal. Characters are based on mythological creatures and characters. That's coming in the second quarter of next year. Contra Operation Galuga, early next year. Unicorn Overlord, which is a new game from Atlas. And they're saying that they're bringing back the Final Fantasy tactical style of game. And that's coming March 8th. It's got that sort of turn-based tactics that were in the original games of Final Fantasy. I actually thought it looked quite good. Not sure I'm quite down with the Unicorn Overlord style of... Because they were talking about it, and didn't really seem like it had much to do with unicorns, apart from that's where the power comes from or some crap. But the rest of it was all, your general Japanese kind of RPG style, Final Fantasy style, medieval swords, all that sort of stuff. So we've got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD coming in the third quarter of next year. F-Zero 99. So I don't know if you remember the F-Zero games on the original Nintendos and that. Kind of a bit like an early version of Wipeout. They've brought this back as a battle royal racing game where 99 players can get involved and race against each other, and you've got try and keep yourself alive, otherwise you're out. And obviously those that are still in can win the race. That's out today. We've got a couple of League of Legends stories. We've got Song of Nunu and Bandle Tale. Bandle Tale will be out next year, and Song of Nunu is out on November 1st. WarioWare Move It on November 3rd. Some of these names, I tell you. Ueden Chronicle 100 Heroes, out April 23rd. Eastward Octopia DLC is coming this holiday season. Wargrove 2 on October 5th. This one excites me. Dave the Diver. Everyone's been raving about that on Steam. And the fact that it's coming to console. It's coming to Nintendo Switch first on October 26th. Then means we are going to be getting it on PlayStation and Xbox and all of that as well. So I cannot wait to actually get that on console. Mario Kart.
Do you think you play it, or do you think you'd wait?
What was that, sorry?
Do you think you'd play it on Switch, or do you think you'd wait for it to be released on PlayStation?
I think I'm going to do a bit of research tonight and see, or during today, and see when it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox.
Because you could get it now on PC.
Yeah, I have looked at it, and I thought for the type of game it is, I'm probably not going to play a huge amount of it on PC. Whereas, if it's coming to Switch, but then it's going to be another year before I get it on PlayStation and Xbox, I'll probably buy it on Switch. If it's only going to be like a month or two, I'll wait. Because chances are, especially with Xbox, it's probably going to go straight on Game Pass. Or close to it.
Yeah.
So, then I get it for free, and... Well, not free, because we're still paying for Game Pass, but that's not the point. Wave 6, the next DLC for Mario Kart Deluxe, is coming this holiday season. October, there is a new map for Among Us coming. Then we got Paper Mario, A Thousand Year Door. Another remake coming next year. There was one thing that I skipped over that I could go back and talk about. Tomb Raider. February 14th. Yes. Now, you sent me this bit of news, I think, yesterday. And then, obviously... Oh, it was this morning. And then, obviously, it was on the Nintendo Direct. So, it's coming February 14th. We're getting all 3 games remastered. Being able to switch between the looks of the game, the style of the game, between a modern, updated style and the original kind of boxy, pixelated sort of style. There was a bit more you knew about it, I think.
Yeah, you'll also be able to switch between the classic analog controls and a modern control setup, which I also think is pretty cool. And you can do both of those things on the fly. So, if you're in the middle of a mission, you can just go in, switch those up, and you don't have to go back to a save point or anything. And that's pretty cool too.
Was there anything in there about the save points? Did you notice?
No, I didn't hear anything, and I am interested to find out about that because that obviously is a kind of big thing in at least in the couple of games, maybe in all three.
From memory,
And
it was
it
all
would be
three.
yeah, it would be quite cool if they introduced autosave, but then also that was an element that you always had to think about when you were playing those original games. So again, maybe there was an option there
Yeah,
where you could kind of do it that way. That would be cool.
yeah, definitely. I can't wait for this again. It's another game coming out in February. That's starting to stack up as well. But
It's funny, we were just talking about it, I think, on the last podcast,
yeah,
that it would be quite cool to go back and play those original games. And I was looking into it, and then lo and behold, they announced remasters.
now two things that I noticed from this Nintendo Direct. What is it with Nintendo and doing so many remakes of old games?
Mm. I guess they've got such an impressive back catalogue of very popular, highly rated titles that it makes sense for them to do that. At some point, though, surely they're going to start running out, and they're going to have to really
Well,
get their act together in creating more new titles of the same quality.
this is the thing though. I don't think they will, because they'll get to a point where they'll release the next console and they'll start again. All the games,
Possibly.
all the games that they remade for the Wii and the Wii U, they'll start making for the Switch too. And then when they run out of those
Right.
ones, they'll start doing the ones that they've just done here. It's
Yeah,
just
quite possibly.
it's madness. The other thing,
Yeah.
are we getting a Mario overload?
Possibly, but then there are so many Mario games over the years.
I think in the next, or between now and February, we're getting Mario RPG, we're getting Mario Wonder, we're getting Mario versus Donkey Kong, we're getting, where is it? Sometime next year we're getting the new Paper Mario, or remake of Paper Mario. Like, that's just a lot of Mario. And then one game
Luigi's Mansion 2 is
Luigi's,
also kind of
yeah, WarioWare Move It. And then a game that I missed
yeah.
completely, Princess Peach's Showtime. Which we're getting a Princess Peach game, which actually doesn't look too bad. Comes out March 22nd. It's based around the fact that she's in this show, and the shows that they're doing at this theatre keep getting stolen, and she's got to go save them, and her ribbon gives her special powers, and there's points where she can change her powers and costume to match, or change her costume and then gets powers to match that costume to help them get through the levels. It looked kind of good. It looks like a kind of a Mario 64 or Mario Wonder, aimed more at females, but that a lot of guys are gonna have a lot of fun with as well.
Yeah.
So, but there's just so much Mario going on. It feels like they're just trying to, I don't know, capitalize on the movie, or knew the movie was going to come out, so they started pushing out a few extra Mario games to ride on the coattails.
Mhm.
I think it's a mistake, personally.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think they will wear people out at some point, and then Mario will have lost a bit of its shine.
Spread them out. I mean, one's coming in February, one's coming in November, one's coming in October. Like, just spread them out. Save a couple of them for the Switch too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're only going to get updated versions of them again next year or the year after anyway.
Yeah, look, I think maximum like one Mario game a year would be would be plenty. But then when the Switch 2 comes out, if you dropped 2 new Mario games on launch with the Switch 2, people would love it.
Oh,
So,
absolutely eat it up. Eat it up. I think there was one more game on there that I missed as well, which was Saga Emerald Beyond. That's coming out next year. It's a JRPG turn-based style game. I don't know much about the Saga series. It seems like it is quite a popular one from the way they spoke about it. I actually quite like the look of it, so I might go and have a look into that series myself. And yeah, I suppose we better move on to our bracket.
yes.
The quality in games this year dropped off compared to the...
A little bit.
Oh,
think it's still strong
sorry.
overall.
Let me rephrase that. Not so much the quality of games, the quantity of games dropped off. We had a couple of absolutely jam-packed years leading up to this. I don't know what you've picked. We started talking about it and then we moved on before we started recording.
Well, I want to see what you've picked first, just in case we've ended up picking the same game.
I guarantee we have not picked the same game. I guarantee it.
All right.
I suppose we better do the picks before we do the honourable mentions then.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah.
First, so I picked a game that I didn't really play much at the time, but that I've looked back on a little bit over the years, and was definitely a big title that year, and that's Deus Ex.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, good choice. I don't even have that in the honourable mentions.
Came out after my birthday in 2000. A great RPG game. Also like a popular series.
Very popular.
That kind of spurned from it. Published by Eidos Interactive, who also published the Tomb Raider games. All around, really, really good title, I think.
Very, very good title. I do remember vaguely playing that game when I was younger, but did not.
It's great combat.
Yeah, did not even see it on there. My pick.
It was nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Didn't win it, but nominated.
My pick goes down the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater line. A couple of choices that I could have gone with this year. We could have gone with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 because that came out this year, but I didn't because we already had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in here. I could have gone with SSX, which also came out this year, but I didn't. I went with the game that I probably played as much of as I did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, that kind of falls in line with it, and that's Dave Mirra BMX. It followed suit with the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It obviously came out a little bit after. Dave Mirra really was the Tony Hawk of the BMX world. And whereas I was a skateboarder myself, all the friends that I hung around with were all BMX guys. So I knew a lot in that world as well as the skating world. And Dave Mirra's BMX was just as good as you know, your Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Made by the same company. Was made... not developed, but I think it was published by the same company, which was Acclaim.
Right.
Until they went bankrupt. But, look, it was a lot of fun to play. You know, doing all the tricks on the BMX. You couldn't obviously do as many as you could on the Pro Skater games, but they somehow still managed to do some really fun stuff with some really cool maps in those games. So, might not be the most iconic game we've ever picked, but definitely holds a place in my heart.
Personal choices, yeah.
Yep. So, some of the honourable mentions for this year. We have Crazy Taxi, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Mario Party 2, The Sims, Pokemon Stadium, Zelda Majora's Mask, Diablo 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Baldur's Gate 2, as we've already mentioned, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 and SSX, the original Paper Mario, Counter-Strike, and Total War games. So some big big franchises started that year.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, well, there's probably a bit more that I'm pretty sure there was one other thing that I haven't written down that I took a screenshot of. Because sometimes you're just scrolling through stuff and a bit of news pops up. And you're like, oh, I need to remember that. What have we got there? That's the GTA thing. Oh, of course. Of course. The new iPhone was unveiled.
Mm-hmm.
And we are apparently...
I watched the stream.
We are apparently getting some AAA games coming to iOS.
Mm-hmm.
Which include Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Death Stranding, and the yet-to-be-released Assassin's Creed Mirage. I don't see how this is going to work, to be honest with you.
It seemed... they didn't do a live demo, but the demo that they had seemed like that Resident Evil was running okay. I think we're starting to get to the point now where the chips in some phones, and certainly this new chip in the iPhone 15, might be capable of kind of running games to a certain extent. They're not going to be running anywhere near as well as they will on a PC or on a next-gen console, but they can run. And you have to imagine they're running in a smaller resolution on a phone screen than they need to on a PC monitor or a TV. So that helps. So it can be lower resolution, it can be lower quality textures. So it's possible that you might get something running at like 30 FPS on a smartphone.
Does it not just make you want to go, well, wouldn't you just remote play?
Yeah, I guess so, but people who have bought into the Apple ecosystem, probably a lot of them don't have games consoles or certainly don't have a PC because they've bought into the Apple ecosystem and they have a Mac and everything. So gaming is probably not something that they do an awful lot of, and there might be people who want to do more gaming on Mac and iOS.
The people I know that have iPhones have consoles.
Yeah.
A lot of them that have PCs have PC over Mac, even though they've got an iPhone.
Yeah.
And as far as the comment you made about people probably don't have a console that are bought into the Apple ecosystem, here in Australia, over 3/4 of the country has a games console in their house.
Yeah, but a lot of those might be, much older consoles.
Not necessarily. Gaming's a big thing. Huge.
It is.
Huge,
it is, absolutely. I'm a bit on the fence whether Apple's recent plunge into gaming is a good thing. You might know they released a toolkit for developers to start porting games over to Mac. So they're definitely trying to get into this space. And time will tell how successful it will be. And as I said, I'm a bit on the fence with it. I think it's a good thing that more gamers might be more gamers, more people introduced to playing games, people who have Macs and iPhones who won't ordinarily play these games. that'll be a good thing if they can play them.
I,
But
yeah,
Apple have taken a kind of stance against games for so many years now.
which is actually kind of baffling when they've got the Apple Arcade on their store.
Yeah. I mean, when I said a stance against games, not against games, full
Yeah,
stop. You know, obviously there are a lot of like mobile games that are made for iPhone, but I just mean like, you know, AAA games, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I to be honest, I think it's, you know, they've tried to be something else, something different, and they just never saw the future being gaming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they were like, we're the professionals. Gaming isn't our thing. You know, we want our computers in office spaces and all of that. And now it's like, oh crap, there's a lot of money over there to be made, and we're not making it.
One of the problems that they're going to have is actually a marketing thing, because the way that they've set up their current product lineup, they can say for like in nearly every use case that you would use a Mac for or an iPhone for, that, or even like one of their Pro displays, pretty much the Apple Watch, pretty much the entire product lineup. They can say for what you will use these devices for, they do them better than the competition, and they do. Like you get like on say apps that run on Mac for whether it be, you know, like Photoshop or video editing software, all that kind of stuff that runs on Mac, runs better on Mac. You get better battery life on Mac. Same with the iPhone. You get better battery life. Apps are more stable on there. The platform's more secure.
I don't know.
Apple Watch, you know, so many more features.
I don't know about the better battery life.
Yeah, 100%. Like the Macs have, because of their SoC.
Oh, maybe the Macs, but
chip.
Not the phone. Not the phone so much.
Yeah, 100%. The iPhone Pro Max battery life is about like 2 hours better than the equivalent from Samsung.
Everybody that, and you know, this is a, you know, personal experience and not, you know, scientifically proven. Everybody that I know that has an iPhone uses their phone half the amount that I do, and their phones are always on charge. Always.
I mean, they do take longer to charge because they only have like 20-watt charging or whatever it is. But it's, yeah, and anyway, but besides the like USB-C and everything coming to iPhone, that might make a bit of a difference. But my point was that the problem that I think they're going to have is that they can at least make an argument on pretty much their whole product lineup at the moment that, you know, if you choose to go into the Apple ecosystem, you're not missing out on anything. You know, all of this stuff runs great.
Yeah.
On Apple products. If they're then trying to say, well, now you can play games on Apple, there's just no argument there. Although the Mac hardware and the iPhone hardware is impressive for what it is, it's not going to run video games anywhere near as well as a PC with a good GPU or a next-gen console or a gaming phone like the ROG phone.
Yeah. Are they doing an ROG phone? Or have they done an ROG phone?
They're up to the 7th ROG phone now.
Shows how behind I am with tech. Jesus.
It's got a cooler that comes with it, so it's got like a it's got like an LED display on the back that's like customizable, and it's got a cooler that you can attach to the phone that has custom like buttons that you can use for playing games, and also actively cools the phone at the same time. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Kind of disappointed I just got the new Samsung.
They're expensive though. Very expensive.
So's the Samsung.
Yeah, true.
Like I ended up spending $4,500 on the phone, the watch, the tablet.
Whoa. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then within 2 months they announced the next one What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
But anyway, we are going to leave it there. We're probably running over time a little bit. You've got things to go do. I don't, because I have the house to myself for the weekend. Woo! But obviously Friday night we have got the stream going as normal. Don't forget to go over there and check it out. Every Friday night we are live doing FC24, which it will be coming up. Tonight will be our last FIFA stream. Next week, though, just as a bit of a break, we are going to be streaming Payday 3.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, so am I. I think there's only a couple of maps to start with, but I'm sure we'll probably spend long enough in each of them.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a bit of a special guest on there with Blowy's wife Laura joining us for that stream. And
she's a big Payday 2 player, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a huge Payday 2 player. And she's just started streaming herself as well, so I'll have to find out what her details are and give them out. As always, links in the bio. Don't forget to go like, follow, and subscribe. Get those notifications turned on so every week, as this podcast goes up live on a Sunday night into Monday morning, you can get up, watch it, listen to it on your way to work, listen to it on your way home. And other than that, we will see you next week. Adios.
Catch you later, guys.